Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, Parallel Deku, back with another fanfiction. This is the 7th part of What If Deku Was Gifted Demonic Powers. Now before starting, please give this video a like, and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. Izuku was nervous as an understatement. Today was the day he would tell Momo exactly how he felt about her. How amazing was and how hot it was that she could make a gun out of thin air. For any J in Izuku's line, that was pretty much the hottest thing a girl could ever do. He tried to fix the bow tie again, but Izuku really couldn't do it at all. He sighed before he left the room and wedged to the room 2 rooms away from his, Aoyama's. Knocking on the door, he waited for a minute before he remembered that Aoyama had left the night before. Aw damn, Izuku sighed as he went to the door in between his and Aoyama's room, Shoto's room. Knocking in the door, he waited a few seconds before the fire and ice user opened the door. Hello Midoriya, Shoto greeted him. What do you need? Please tell me you can tie a bow tie, Izuku said as he pointed to the poorly tied cloth around his neck. Shoto blinked, not expecting that. I do. Give me 1 second, Shoto said as he grabbed the bow tie. He began to tie it correctly. Do you two know when you'll be back? I didn't actually think to ask, Izuku admitted. Kinda too busy preoccupied with other things. Like admitting your affection for Yaoyorozu, Shoto asked. When did you get involved in emotional stuff, Izuku asked. Spending time here kinda makes that happen to all of us, Shoto said. Plus Ashido was saying something about it last night. Figures she would. Izuku sighed. If you're nervous about it, I think you shouldn't be. You both obviously like each other and nothing negative would come of it. Shoto finished with tying the bow tie. You know, after this I should help you get a romantic partner. Izuku made a smirk. Shoto shook his head. No, I only talk in Northern Osing to 2 girls in this class as it is, and one of them is Ashido. Well, who's the other? Izuku asked, even though he knew it was the frog girl of the class. Asui, Shoto answered. Why not ask her on a date? Izuku figured he could get that rolling for Tsuyu since he did say he would. I doubt she would want a date with the guy who has father issues he is working through, even if I were at a place of readiness to have a relationship. The white and red-haired boy replied. That's fair reasoning. The leading saint nodded. Well, if you want to talk about girls, I would say talk to me, but I apparently don't know what I am doing. I'll talk to Nito or Kirishima. They are the only guys here in relationships. True, Izuku exhaled. I'm still nervous as you beat a thing meant to kill All Might into the ground. You run a group of the possibly most powerful people in our generation. Your monotone voice is good for motivational speaking, surprisingly. Perhaps because what I am saying is factual and the monotone supports that. You're gonna use that a lot, aren't you? If it calms you down like this, then perhaps. Izuku smirked as they both left the room. Can't argue with that. I'm dumb, so as many people as possible being there to use sense and such is smart. You call yourself dumb, but you built a weapon and are in the most prestigious school in the country in the top course and have one of the highest scores. I lack common sense then. That is plausible. Aw thanks. They both entered the commons and only 4 other people were down there. Ochako, Hanta, Iri and Katsuki. Well, that's a good suit, Hanta remarked as he saw the purple-clad leader of the class. Trying to do something today? Ochako raised an eyebrow and smiled. Not something, someone. Hanta grinned. I don't like what you are insinuating, Izuku said. This suit is for business. Are you really taking your necklace and sunglasses? Katsuki asked. I can tuck the necklace in and the shades are non-negotiable, Izuku stated. When will you be back? Iri asked. No clue, but it will be tonight. Izuku smiled at the girl for reassurance. Who's in charge while you are gone? Hanta asked. Nito. Izuku didn't hesitate to answer. He is responsible, saying that like some of us aren't. Hanta replied. I caused a power outage, broke down that door, accidentally got 3 of us faded as all hell, all in the past week. The leading saint replied. That sounds like a fun time. Ochako joked. The power outage was fun. The tape-elbowed teenager nodded. We should do that again. No, Katsuki whacked Hanta over the head. We have to stop being stupid. Feel like we kinda just nosedived into the stupid side of that, and it is unavoidable at this point. You know, it bothers me sometimes that we are kinda stupid, but also probably the strongest of our generation because of the saints, Katsuki stated. That's the thrill of being a saint. The leading saint chuckled. Try to actually get somewhere in your relationship for once. Hey, I don't question your relationship status, because I don't have one. Let's set Katsuki up with the kitchen. Hanta laughed. Or an anger management class. Ochako giggled. I'll find a pot to throw at you too, the explosive teen replied. Suddenly a sound of something hard hitting the ground by the stairs made everyone look and see Mina, looking like she just threw a chair to get their attention. Hello, the pink girl said with excitement. We spent many hard working hours to make this happen. She pointed up the stairs to show Momo walking down, looking absolutely stunning. Momo's hair had been taken out of her usual spiky ponytail and was cascading down over her left shoulder. She had put on an elegant crimson-red dress that would definitely make people look twice with matching heels, and she had her signature Morning Star pendant hanging around her neck. She had light makeup on that accented her onyx eyes that had a red ring around the irises. Izuku was the first one to say anything. Hell, you're beautiful. It dawned on the teen after he spoke exactly what he said, turning red from embarrassment. Momo had also turned red from his comment. I told you, Mina clapped gleefully. She doubted my skills. I only said you were trying to do too much. Nonsense. You two should get going. Shoto decided to save the two from Mina saying anything more to be well Mina. For sure. Izuku nodded, his face now back to its regular color. He patted Eri on the head. We'll be back tonight for sure. Bye, Izuri waved. Bye guys. Momo waved to them as the two began to leave. Izuku opened the door to the commons and motioned for Momo to go first. Ladies first. Why aren't you going? That's rude, ma'am. For one, I am a man. Secondly, I am your bodyguard for the night. Is that a black licorice in your ear? The girl looked at Izuku's ear. No, that's my earpiece as a bodyguard. That's a black licorice. No, it's an earpiece. The piece of black licorice fell out of Izuku's ear at that moment, hitting the ground because Izuku didn't bother to catch it. Okay, it was black licorice. You're an idiot. Momo laughed. Well, I am the idiot who is your bodyguard. What does that say about you? I'm being guarded by an idiot. Wait, Izuku didn't think of that option when he first asked the question. You know I will cry. I am not above it. You cried over a chicken you killed with Nito a few weeks ago. Momo remembered the story Kyoka told her about the chicken Izuku dropped from a rooftop to see if it would fly. William was a great man, chicken. Izuku defended. You killed him. That was gravity. Izuku continued to defend himself as they exited UA's campus. Izuku, you dropped a chicken from a rooftop. The girl gave him a flat look. His name was William. The Saints leader stated. Doesn't change that you dropped William. William got killed by gravity. I will avenge him. How? Momo gave Izuku a dumb look. You can't fight gravity. When you are stupid you can do anything, the Halo user declared like it was a proverb. Momo ignored that statement to point to the limo her parents sent to transport the two. Soon the two were at Momo's estate, a few groundskeepers tending to the yard. Miss Yaoyorozu, a servant, greeted the two kids. Master and Mistress Yaoyorozu are expecting you in the parlor. Thank you. The teen nodded as she made her way through the large estate, Izuku following. Upon getting to the parlor, the two parents of Momo were found talking together by a window overlooking their extravagant garden. The adults turning when they saw the two teens. Both adults were dressed lavishly in black with dark red trimmings. Miss Yaoyorozu having an elegant dress that was black with red circling the ends of her dress and the one sleeve it had over her left arm. Mr. Yaoyorozu having a black tuxedo with a red shirt under his coat. Hello Momo. The ride was well, her mother asked, gaining a nod from her daughter. How has my sweet pea been? Mr. Yaoyorozu had a large smile. I have been well. Splendid. How about you, Midoriya, my boy? The man turned to the teen next to his daughter. I got banned from an event at school and then unbanned. Izuku replied. I was the same way in my youth. The man gave a hearty laugh. Did you start a gambling ring at your high school like me? He was curious if he and Izuku had more parallels. No, but now that you. Before Izuku could continue, Momo covered his mouth with her hands. No gambling, the girl said flatly. Buzzkill, Izuku grumbled as the girl removed her hands from his face. Same for you, dear. Miss Yaoyorozu suddenly having a darker edge tone of Momo's tone she had just used. Of course. Mr. Yaoyorozu nodded hard. I don't gamble anymore. Wonderful. The matriarch had an instant smile. She turned back to the two teens. Guests will start appearing in an hour. I am glad you are both presentable. Izuku felt that the second part was aimed at just him. It wasn't really as questionable when the woman did say he comes off as a hoodlum last time they saw each other. I would like to have a private talk with my daughter. I can show Midoriya around, Mr. Yaoyorozu said as he patted Izuku's shoulder. Oh cool. Izuku went along with it. See you, Izuku. Momo waved as Izuku was led out by the patriarch Yaoyorozu. Tell me, Midoriya, the man said as he was guiding the boy through the main hall. What was your emotions upon seeing my daughter at USJ? He was actually curious. Bro, hear it from Izuku personally. Right before my transformation. Yes, I just want to hear more about it. I admit your transformation is something of interest. I was thinking. Izuku paused to try to gather every thought he had felt at USJ in the moment he thought Momo was dead. Then I failed. That I was useless and too worthless to protect a friend. It made me mad at myself so much that my transformation happened and all of my anger was targeted at Momo. You are a good kid, Mr. Yaoyorozu stated. I believe that those words your father said are completely off. What? Izuku got confused. How did this guy know about his poor relationship with his own father? Only Nezu, his mom, and the Saints should know about that. Midoriya, the syndicate is very resourceful. I know your father is Spitfire. The man seemed to grow a sad frown. The stuff me and my wife learned were not good. That man is a good example of someone who deserves a good beating. How? Syndicate, the man answered. My wife wanted to out this man for his abusive nature to a mere child, but I asked her to wait till after I had a talk with you. Why? Izuku looked at the man in confusion. I wanted to see if you have that same problem I did. I see it in your eyes, son. You feel that outing him as the abusive person he is isn't what would be the most rewarding thing you could do. You want to desperately prove that he was wrong, that you aren't worthless. You want to win his approval deep down despite what he has done should make his opinion not matter anymore. I was like that with my parents, the man stated. Izuku was listening intently because he knew everything the man was saying was true. Part of him felt a need to get his father's approval despite how much the rest of him feared his father or hated the man to his core. Wait, your parents? The teen asked. I wasn't born in this life of luxury like my beautiful wife. I was born to poor parents who didn't want a child and never bothered to be parents. They didn't care for anything I did at all. I wanted just one thing I did to make them say that they were proud of me, but nothing came of it. They were not good people, and it took me years to understand that constantly wanting their approval was unhealthy. After that, I decided to find something that actually matters to fill that find of self-worth. What helps? The teen was curious. Well, I met this charming woman who scared the bejesus out of me. The man laughed. She saw what she wanted in life and took it. She decided she wanted me. That was the only point of approval that mattered to me after that, and I can say that Kurenai is the best thing that has ever happened to me. Miss Yaoyorozu. Yep, she was that help for me. He tapped his fingers on Izuku's shoulder. Forget about your father's approval, Midoriya. He is honestly S in my opinion. If you need approval, I suggest look to those that already give it. Seeking approval where it isn't will only make you hurt yourself. The man spoke from experience. Did your parents ever apologize? No, I haven't talked to them in years. I don't even know for sure if they can even remember the fact that they had a son. But aren't you Yaoyorozu, the CEO of the syndicate? I am originally named Jin Shiraishi. I took Kurenai's last name because it is a better name than mine. That one only has pain with it. I don't know if I can just forget that. Izuku admitted. It was tough. It took me until my 20s to truly realize and get past my family issues. Don't try to rush yourself believing that because you can think you are over it that you truly are. It takes time. I do suggest, however, that you should expose your father for what he did. I doubt it was just him that has that mindset, and this could be a way to get attention on others that think like that. It could help others who get out in situations like you were. Izuku nodded. I will think about it. You'll do the right thing. The man gained a more cheerful mood and patted Izuku's shoulder again. I can tell you have a good heart. I kind of have a demonic transformation. The Halo user pointed out. Yes, but you used that to avenge my cupcake. That's some good actions right there. Remember to just make sure that they are who they appear to be. A woman said to the girl in front of her, a teen with bluish lavender hair and eyes. I understand. We will not engage at all yet. Do not let slip your purpose nor your true identity. Make sure that it is true that he is in fact the type of saint that is the enemy. A little bit later, Izuku and Momo were at a table talking while Momo's parents both went about mingling with the arrivals to the event. So what did my father say? Momo was curious, especially since Izuku looked a little hard-pressed. We just talked about life. Really? Momo asked. I figured he was asking about your father. She wasn't sure if it could be mentioned yet around Izuku. Did your mom ask you about it? Izuku wouldn't be surprised if Miss Yaoyorozu did ask Momo about it. After a bit she did. Momo admitted. She asked about my health since returning to UA. And then you. She said it took a lot of willpower and father to not just go after your father. Her mother really had an intense hate for Izuku's father after she found out what happened between Izuku and him years ago. It also made the woman gain a newer image of Izuku. Your dad did say that. Mother doesn't get that mad over many things. She still believes that she should just use every resource of the syndicate to go after him. I kinda wanna see that, Izuku stated. However, I think I want to just drop it. I don't want to act like it never happened, but I want to just stop letting it affect me. Let's practice that here, Momo offered. Ah yes, extravagant party and rich people. Izuku looked around the large room that had been filling with more people who had dealings with the syndicate. Perfect place to forget my troubles by hustling some money from suckers. The creation user fed his cheek. No, not here, Izuku. You really take the fun out of hustling. Izuku, this is a major event for my parents. Can't really have you here being, well, you. I take offense. Izuku, you know what I mean. Offense. Izuku, offense. I'll F you. And oh cry. I'm not above it. You'll because I'm too strong for you to handle. Hey, I survived having my finger ripped off. You don't even remember that. Says who? You literally said you don't remember anything from your first transformation into that state. I need evidence. Your word is the evidence. Your face is the evidence. Your face is evidence of your dumbness. Rude. Izuku very lightly smacked Momo's head. You started it. Well, you were rude. You were a bad bodyguard. How dare you insult my bodyguarding? Izuku poked her arm. You just smacked me. Momo responded as she poked his arm back. That didn't hurt. Because you are weak. Ma'am, I'll have you know I once lifted a sheet of paper. I work out hard. I don't think a piece of paper counts as working out. You haven't seen the piece of paper yet. Momo actually snorted from laughter at that point. You're a dork. No, I'm a cool bodyguard. You're a dork. I will cry under this harassment. Bodyguards don't cry. Never said I was a good bodyguard. Izuku, you have implied it multiple times. I never said it explicitly. I'm getting a new bodyguard. Momo gave Izuku a playful look. You can't replace me. Watch me. I'm Union. Not getting rid of me that easily. Well dang. Momo had a grin. A teen approached the two. It was a girl their age with bluish lavender hair and similar colored eyes. She had on a pale blue dress and a dark lavender scarf. Hello, I am Seiko Intelli. Momo nodded. Hello, I heard out parents might be doing business soon. The girl nodded in response. They are discussing the details right now. What's the business? Izuku asked. Seiko seemed like it irritated her that Izuku didn't just automatically know her family business from her name. However, she didn't let it get to her too much. Intelworks, a research organization. Oh, I think you guys actually had some of the tech that was used on me. Izuku remembered seeing that name when David Shield was researching Izuku. Oh, that surprised Seiko. Was there research on you for what? My quirk acted weird. The Halo user explained. They tried to find out what happened. Seiko nodded. Glad to be of assistance. Yay, thanks for making sure I didn't die. Another teen showed up, a girl with long gray hair and white eyes. She had a simple white dress and wasn't even casting a glance at Izuku and Momo, only looking at Seiko. Your mother would like a word, Miss Intelli. Seiko nodded. Of course. She looked at Izuku and Momo. It was a pleasure to meet you. She had a lingering look on Izuku before she left, something that irked Momo. The other girl left with Seiko. She seems okay, Izuku stated. I don't like her, Momo replied. Why, she seemed okay. I don't know. Something just feels off about her. Momo knew part of it was her being territorial about Izuku, but something definitely felt off about that Seiko. She could be vegan. Izuku joked, making Momo laugh. Hello, another person their age introduced himself. A pale blue-skinned teen that had visible gills and shark-like features, as well as dark blue hair and eyes. His suit was dark and had a blue bow tie. I am Kasama Konomi. He held out his hand to Momo. Hello, Momo Yaoyorozu. The creation user introduced herself, not liking the look that Kasama had. Would you care to dance? He asked, motioning to the large area where music was playing from a small aura. Momo looked at Izuku. Does my bodyguard have a problem with this? Izuku looked at Kasama. Yeah, blue is no good. Izuku, your hands have blue lines on them. The creation user pointed out the blue effects of his mold ability. A simple no was fine. Kasama seemed annoyed and left. He really can't take an L. I didn't like that look he gave me. Well, as your bodyguard, I'll make sure no guy looks at you like that. Thank you. Momo was really glad Izuku was there. I think I owe you a dance for that. Didn't you have to be here to do stuff? Izuku asked, feeling embarrassed about his still lackluster dance ability. Mother and father will most likely start taking me around with the higher investors and staff of She Syndicate later. They want me to be as ready as possible when I take over the syndicate. You got some serious power in life, the leading saint commented, heir to the syndicate and one of the right hands of the leader of the saints. Well, obviously, one of us has to actually be somewhere in life. Momo joked. Hello, darling. Momo's mother was there. It's time. We would like to introduce you to some of the board. I'll be back, Izuku. Momo gave him a reassuring smile and got up to follow her mother. When I come back, you owe me a dance. Since when did I owe you a dance? Mountain Zone at USJ. I win the bet, so I cash it in as a dance. Momo had a playful smile. I want to see if the powerful saint can dance as well as he runs his mouth. You might be surprised. I hope to be. Momo's smile got bigger as she left. Izuku was left alone now, and the words Momo said got in his head. One of us has to actually be somewhere in life. What was Izuku doing compared to Momo? He was leading a group of teens that he honestly felt he might be a bit in over his head doing. Momo was the heir to one of the most powerful corporations in the world and so sure of herself. It made his insecurities begin to surface more. What was he even doing here? He was an impulsive, troublemaking teen at a rich people event. What was Momo even doing around him? She was sophisticated and elegant, from a powerful family with a powerful quirk. He was a quirkless guy who came from one abusive parent, and he spent half of his time doing insignificant jokes just to amuse himself. For S sake, he threw a chicken off of a building at one point. What was he doing somewhere like this? He didn't belong here at all. Izuku stood up and almost considered just up and leaving altogether, but decided against it in favor of just stepping out to the large patio overlooking the garden to just take a breath. It was beginning to get darker outside, and the section of the balcony he took to was bare of people besides him. He leaned in the balcony and forced all of the thoughts from his head. Why was he letting himself get in his own head like that? He couldn't just boil himself down to some punk kid who likes trouble. He was Izuku Midoriya, the guy who went to hell, and back in a day he broke a 30-year record at one of the hardest hero schools to ever get into. And by a large ass gap, he literally destroyed a being created to kill the strongest hero in the world. How could he just forget that and shoot himself down so bad? He is a saint. Saints don't wallow in the mud. Hello, Midoriya. The voice of Seiko got his attention and he turned to the girl. Hello, Intelli. Izuku replied. May I ask what research was done on you? I wasn't aware of research being done on someone my age. college. Oh, it was just my quirk. The thing decided to act weird after this one event at school. Everything is all good now. What acted odd? My quirk is energy-based. The energy decided to not flow right and such. He was beginning to wonder why this girl was so curious about his quirk. Sure, he got researched by a lab that had some equipment from her family company, but still, especially with that studying look she had. My quirk is energy-based too. However, it doesn't make me have such fascinating glowing lines on me. Seiko meant the halo veins Izuku had. What does your quirk do? Seiko ignored this question by giving another question. That is an intriguing necklace you have. Does it have a meaning? Izuku hadn't been realized his necklace was on the outside of his jacket until that point. He must have pulled it out while he was panicking. Oh, it's just a gift from my grandpa. He says it is the sign of loyalty and strength. In Johnny's words, it was actually loyalty and badassery, but same thing. Are you that guy from UA? The one from that attack last week? Was that why she was so curious about him? She recognized him from the news. I am from UA. But I wasn't the only one there. The one who had to be taken by a hazmat team. Seiko responded. Oh yeah, that was me. That's when my quirk acted up. It was shocking to see that villains had attacked in such a manner. Yeah, but my class was tough. They all stood their ground and showed the villains what's what. You have respect for your classmates. Well, yeah, those guys got strength. I would say you do too if you can be walking around at an event like this just a week after the state you were in. Saints are built different. Izuku shrugged. Seiko had a grin she had managed to hide so it was unnoticed by Izuku. She got to what she was there for. Saints, not the religious type. It's a group my family has a lot to do with. I have never heard of them. Yeah, the Saints kind of went down for a bit, but I'm getting them going again. What does the group do? As I have it now, I guess we are just a group of heroes. You already have members. Yeah, 20 of us. That's a good number. It is quantity and quality. Another voice got their attention. There you are, Seiko. Izuku turned to see a middle-aged woman with dirty blonde hair and a ponytail, two bangs framing her face. She had a gray business suit and skirt, a pair of black oval-like glasses over her sea-green eyes. Hello, mother, Seiko stated, letting Izuku know this is her mother. Who is this young man? The woman asked while she sent an unnoticed split-second glance at Izuku's necklace, a symbol of a group she did not like at all. Hello, I am Izuku Midoriya. Oh, the son of Hasashi, the woman said, noticing the slight look of anger that Izuku got. She made note of that. She was fully aware of who Izuku was, the abandoned son of Spitfire, as well as the descendant of the sociopath Johnny Gat. He is not my dad, Izuku replied. That man might be his father, but there was no way he deserved to be his dad. Just a coincidence, I apologize, the woman said. I am Miss Intelli. She made sure to not use her real name in case this boy knew the history of his group. While in the end of the timeline, before the reverse, she might not have been an enemy of the Saints, she was now, especially with her husband back, who was currently working on their project on the other side of the planet. Izuku found it odd that the woman didn't use her first name, but went with it. Hello, Midoriya. Momo's father showed up at that point. We'll take our leave of you, the older Intelli said as the two left. Hello, Mr. Yaoyorozu, Izuku said to the man. Call me Jin. The man waved off the first title. Feels weird though. Whatever works for you, Midoriya. The man shrugged. Some of our board is actually interested in seeing the boy from USJ who managed to scare the criminals into submission. How do they know it was me? The Halo user asked. Well, I might have bragged about Momo here after she was safe from USJ. Then I bragged about her classmates, Jin explained, especially a teen whose presence scared grown men. Nice, Izuku grinned. I have a reputation. Let's go. The man began to walk back inside, the teen following. Izuku actually began to enjoy the party after a bit. Some of the board members from the syndicate were very interested in what happened at USJ. Izuku told them about everything, except the stuff he couldn't really say, like the Halo. They liked his telling of his ability to just chat with other kids while in a bad situation. All three kids having no difficulty with the mountain at USJ. They all were definitely amazed by his count of the Namu and how all of the students worked well to take it down as best they could. He had to rely on Jin for a bit about what happened during his Saints Demon's transformation because he didn't have the proper details. The adults all thought Izuku always a definite hero in the making to look out for, and some even offered sponsorships or asked for him to turn to them for his gear needs. It was a nice moment for Izuku. It's showing that he could fit in with people of a higher social status, a growing worry he had around Momo. He was beginning to think he had nothing to worry about. Midoriya, my boy, that was a fantastic telling. A man named Rusev Petro, a Russian man of elderly age, said, truly remarkable stuff for a young man like yourself to accomplish. Indeed, it reminds me of my days in Spain. Another man, Izuku believed his name was Ruiz, said, granted I was a few years older when I had my first moments as a hero. By the time you reach where I was, I believe you will already be a high-standing lad in the charts. I kind of stopped caring about the charts, Izuku admitted. Like, I want to be a hero, but to me my goal is to be the best leader of my group as I can be. Being the #1 hero of my generation, if I do go for it, will be a side mission. Jin nodded. No doubt you will do both, my boy. You are a capable young man. Speaking of the charts, have you guys heard of what happened in Moscow just yesterday with the #2 hero there, Terraform? Rusev looked to his fellow board members. He was actually loosely related to Terraform because Big his wife. Horrible stuff. An American board member shook his head. I feel for his family. They say the monster is somewhere in Moscow still. So many search parties are there locking the city down. Rusev said. Did they? Gentlemen, I must excuse Midoriya from us if we are going to discuss such matters, Jin said as he looked to Izuku. Okay. Izuku nodded and walked away, wondering what was bad happening in Moscow. Izuku actually didn't know what to do now. Momo was nowhere to be seen, as was her mother. Jin was talking about something serious in Moscow that he couldn't participate in. That actually was everyone he would want to talk to at the event. He decided to just find his way back to his seat and just chill. On the way to his seat, however, he passed by a group of people his age who got his attention. Hey, nice shades, man, a guy said. The guy had spiky pink hair and his eyes were also just pink. No white sclera or anything. His eyes were just pure bright pink orbs. Why, thank you. Izuku stopped walking to say that. You're from the news, another teen said. This guy looked kind of plain. He had short brown hair and brown eyes. Only thing that was not plain looking about him were his enlarged upper canines that weren't contained by his mouth being closed. Yue, right, yep. Izuku nodded. Surprised you are up this soon after that, the pink-haired guy said. Shiksu would definitely not have let us just up and get ourselves into trouble like you did earlier this week. The guy must have been one of the people to put 2 and 2 together and realize, but was Izuku in that event when Izuku rescued her? That was coincidental, Izuku stated. Does Yue just let that happen? Nah, I got yelled at. Pretty good, Izuku admitted. Hey, so what is the deal with that girl? Izuku saw that it was that shark-like teen Kasama. He must have been talking about Momo. What do you mean, what is the deal with her? Izuku felt like he was going to get mad in a second. Like, are you two a thing or is she good to go because she can get it? Yeah, Izuku was going to get mad. I doubt she would want it from you. She looks like she'd want it from any. Kasama didn't get to finish that sentence when Izuku slammed a left hook right into the shark-like teen's nose, actually breaking it and sending the teen toppling over a table behind him. No one was seated at the table luckily when Kasama hit the table and it fell to its side under the sudden impact. The action got everyone in the large room looking in that direction to see Izuku angrily looking at Kasama. And the other teens taking a step back, noticing a black fluid in Izuku's veins. Midoriya Jin was the first to react. He quickly left his group to make sure Izuku wouldn't attack the other teen anymore. Izuku realized he just attacked a kid of one of the people that the hosts are supposed to be doing business with. That most definitely might have thrown a wrench into things for that particular business deal. Sorry, Izuku said to Jin as he left, going back outside. Neato man. Minoru came down the stairs holding Izuku's Ouija board. I know we shouldn't touch this thing, but it's going insane. I could hear it through the ceiling. It's doing what? Neato looked up from Kyoka's music sheets. Is that a board game or he has never seen the board before? It's a Ouija board, Kyoka said. A rude one. What is it saying? The one for all user asked, and Minoru set it on the table. It keeps asking for the boss, Minoru said, and calling me rude names. Neato looked at the board. What do you need? The board staring to move on its own. Where is the halo bearer? Not here, Neato replied. Is this important or do you just want to insult him again? Emergency. What emergency? Neato got confused. The halo only said a few more words before it stopped moving completely. Beware the demon. Izuku muttered some curses as he sat on the edge one of the small fountains in the garden. He can't believe he just up and punched that, causing a scene. Did he really have to resort to getting that pissed that in quick? The thoughts from before about his lack of belief of himself belonging there began to resurface. Izuku, Momo said as she walked around one of the corners of the hedge maze. She knew he was out there and wanted to make sure he was okay. She had seen the black liquid and knew something that Shark Teen said must have pissed Izuku off. Izuku, are you okay? I didn't get punched. Izuku was looking at the ground, all of his negative thoughts swimming around his head. They finally spilled out at that moment. Why do you even like me? The question caught Momo off guard. What? Why do you even like me? Izuku's voice had raised. I'm not worth it. Izuku, why would you think that? I just punched a guy. Izuku had stood up and faced Momo. He said literally one comment about you and I had so little self-control that I punched him into a table. He was a jerk. Momo didn't even know what it was. The Shark Teen said. You're not worthless. How do I even fit in here? Everyone here is a wealthy person or someone who matters, and I am just a kid whose father left him to die in an alley. Izuku was beginning to tear up. Why do you like me? You're literally a modern-day princess and I'm alley trash. Momo didn't say anything for a second. This hit her out of nowhere. She never expected Izuku to just implode from his problems. She knew he had them, but he always was so carefree. She didn't expect him to have such a low picture of himself deep down. Izuku, you're not alley trash. What else do you call a kid who was left to die in an alley? Izuku argued. Alitra. Momo wasn't proud exactly of her reaction to his words and her idea of getting him to stop by slapping him across the face. Izuku did stop talking, however, because it surprised and hell out of him that she slapped him. Izuku Midoriya. Momo had a stern tone as she kept her crimson and onyx eyes on Izuku's own emerald and crimson eyes. You are not alley trash. You are the most talented guy I have ever met, and you are worth way too much as a person to even compare yourself to anything from an alley. I have never met someone who is smart enough to build their own weapon at the age of 15 that outshines modern-day technology, and still be childish enough to make a masturbation joke while fighting a supervillain. You can't keep measuring yourself by what happened between you and your father. You were just a kid, and he clearly doesn't know shit from shine if he thought for a second that you had no potential whatsoever. Stop holding yourself by his standards and hold yourself by your own standards. Or any one of the people who joined a group that has a backstory that sounds too bizarre to be true because they all clearly see that potential that you have. You are a great person, who is probably the greatest hero of our generation. By the point that Izuku was crying still but happily. All of Izuku's self-hatred and insecurities in that moment just washed away, and he hugged Momo tightly. Why are you so great? I love you, stupid. Momo did something she had been wanting to do for a while and ate Izuku on the lips. The action caught Izuku off guard, but not even a second later he returned it. In that moment, Izuku was the happiest he had ever been in his life, and gold liquid filled his halo veins completely. Before his body gave off a golden light, the two didn't separate for a few seconds, not even caring about the golden glow that was trying to break into their closed eyes. When they did separate, they finally noticed Izuku's transformation. Izuku, you're gold, was Momo's intelligent observation. Izuku's skin was now tinted slightly gold and gave off a glow of that same color. His halo veins were a more vibrant yellow now as well. His hair even had the good glow. The power of his transformation made his hair levitate just enough that it looked like it was caught in a breeze of wind. Izuku's eyes had turned in pure white orbs, contrasting his demonic forms black, and had sense of kindness to them. Oh, I am. Izuku gave a surprised response. He was more focused in the fact that he just got it by Momo, and it was the best feeling he ever had. Then he felt something weighing on his back. You're why the Morningstar descendant had a wide set of eyes as she saw two post limbs of Izuku's back in their former glory. Izuku turned his head and gained a shocked expression. My wings. Izuku's old wings that had been torn out by the Namu at USJ were back in their original colors of emerald green feathers and the purple harmless flames that coated them. The wings had that same golden glow that everything else in his transformation had, but they were the same beloved limbs he had lost a week prior. Do they work? Momo asked. Izuku was still looking at his wings like it was taking all of his thought power to understand that his wings were there, after spending a lot of time just accepting that they were gone. How were they even back? How Izuku looked at Momo and noticed that scar she had from his demonic transformation where tried to kill his dad was gone. Momo, your face. What? The scar is gone. The girl touched where she was struck before and didn't feel the jagged scar anymore. Her skin just felt smooth. Is it your transformation? I think Izuku didn't know for sure. Maybe this form give me advanced healing. And since you haven't actually let go of me, I have it by physical contact, Momo thought aloud. What? Izuku looked down and noticed he was still holding her by her hips before he turned red and let go. Oh, sorry. Momo gave him a dead look in response. I just profess my love for you and you get embarrassed by holding my sides. Izuku guarded an embarrassed smile. Oops, does it help that I love you too? Better be glad, you're adorable. She replied with heavy blush. How do I have my wings back exactly? Izuku asked. Your transformation must have restored them. It also healed my scar most likely. Wait, how come I still don't have my middle finger? Then the saint held up his left hand that was still missing its entire finger save for the portion of the first joint it still had. Maybe it just heals scars from demonic attacks, and it patched up your back, which was what was blocking you from accessing your wings again, Momo said like she was unsure of it. So we don't know for sure. Maybe it was a divine being thinking you don't need to be flipping people off with that hand. I still have part of the finger, so I can still technically do it. Izuku wiggled the bit of his finger he still had. I can't believe you are more worried about your finger than your wings. The Morningstar sighed. Oh, I'm getting to that. Izuku gave her a sly grin. I don't like that look. Momo actually loved that look, but it meant Izuku had something planned. I owe you a dance, right? His grin didn't drop for a second. Izuku, what do you? Momo got cut off as Izuku grabbed her, pulled her in for it, and used his return wings for the first time to lift them off of the ground. A few minutes later, Izuku landed on the roof of the Yaoyorozu estate. He enjoyed flying for the first time in a week, a really long week at that. His Saint's Grace transformation had ended, but they figured they can test its capabilities later. Izuku was just happy his wings didn't need the transformation to be of use. He could summon it, make his wings vanish like he used to. Let's not do that again for a minute, Momo said as she sat down. She wasn't worried about the flying, but more so too flustered by their dancing during it, and was trying to calm down from that. She didn't even know if it could be considered dancing at all when it was really just them flying and making out. I'm fine with that. Izuku plopped down onto his back, his wings stretched out. His face was red from how bold he just was. I got my wings back. I know. I can't believe I have my wings back. I can. I'm glad you have them. I miss these bad boys. Momo gained a frown when the memory of Izuku screaming in pain when he had his wings ripped out in the first place. That scream honestly still shook her to her core. Please don't lose them again. I don't wanna. They were silent for a minute before Izuku spoke again. You're going to make me not use them at the sports festival, aren't you? Yes. Momo nodded as she looked at Izuku on the roof next to her. We still have enemies, and you should only use it when it is absolutely necessary so they don't know you have them back yet. You're too responsible and logical. I'm making up for your lack of common sense. I am still your bodyguard. You can't insult your bodyguard. Wasn't trying to. I was saying I am covering your weaknesses for you. I have no weaknesses. Really? Momo asked with a raised eyebrow. So what made you lose focus and crash into a pole during our last class with all might? Izuku's half-closed eyes snapped open and he turned red. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. Something threw you off. No, Izuku, you crashed into a pole and were too embarrassed to look at any of us. That wasn't me. I will tell everyone it was something stupid, so you would lie about it if you don't get the truth. Not really. I was hoping you would just tell me. I'm not saying. You said you were distracted. What distracted you? Momo asked. Izuku contemplated flying away from the rooftop right then, but she might just make more of a hassle out of it, admitting it would be the safest solution. I saw something. We know you were distracted, but what was it? Wow, the moon looks beautiful tonight, doesn't it? Izuku, no. Momo sighed, not changing the subject. Fine, what it was. Wow, the moon looks beautiful tonight, doesn't it? Momo had a flat look. Izuku, fine. I was looking at your ass. Izuku said the last part really fast. What? I didn't get that. The Morningstar descendant didn't actually hear it properly. I was looking at your ass. Izuku said it too quietly and quickly. Izuku. She was gaining an annoyed look because she couldn't hear him. Izuku looked at his bare wrist. Why would you look at the time? Momo fed the leader of the Saints on his nose. Just tell me, geez. It can't be that bad. Fine. I was looking at your ass. Izuku stopped, facing her completely red. My Momo blushed. Then she snorted in slight laughter. You crashed into a pole because of my rear. Oh haha, it is so funny. Momo was laughing to show that she did find it funny. The might leader of the Saints' biggest weakness is a butt. Well, it's not my fault your ass is so nice. Izuku had turned so red during the course of this conversation. You are so red. Momo laughed. I'm leaving you on the roof. Izuku flew away. Izuku, come back, Momo shouted while laughing. A few minutes later, the two were down by the party again. Izuku had put away his wings into the halo. There you two are. Monsieur Urazu found them. I was wondering where you went after you assaulted that other boy. Izuku gained a different kind of embarrassed look than the one he had moments ago. Sorry, Monsieur Urazu. Hey, I don't need to hear the explanation again. I am already aware of his words that set you off. While I believe putting him through a table wasn't appropriate, I approve of defending Momo like you did. I'm sorry about the table and any food on it. Izuku apologized again. I will let it be excused this one time, I suppose. Just don't make a habit of it. My only habit is gambling, and the fun police here, Izuku pointed at Momo, says I can't do it. Gambling is bad. The girl responded. Okay, fun police. You ran into a pole. Momo said it knowing he would shut up, which he did with a red face. Kurenai Urazu gained a smile seeing the two kids interact. She thought it was cute and similar to her and Jin. You two might want to say goodbye to Jin and then get going back to your dorms if you want to get there before curfew. I did promise Uri I would be back tonight, Izuku said. Uri, Kurenai asked. Would that be the child mentioned in your spectacle earlier this week? She would be ticked if it was another girl Izuku was talking to, because for the sake of her daughter, Kurenai would crush Izuku in that case. Yeah, she is kinda like the little sis of our class. Izuku nodded. Please, you are totally her dad. Momo corrected him. Yeah, the halo-bearing teen nodded. I'm just her dad. Well then you should get ready. Kurenai mused how wrong she was with her first impression of Izuku just being a hoodlum. He was a questionable kid for sure, but he was also a good kid. After a bit, the two were now standing in front of the estate ready to go. Momo had said bye to her father and they talked for a minute, also explaining to her parents that the wave of energy was Izuku getting a transformation based on happiness. Alright, so I want to fly home, Izuku stated as he tapped his shades into goggles, something he enjoyed doing. You just got them back. Do you think you can handle that distance? I am a natural with these bad boys, the teen boasted as he let his wings come to life, filling the air behind him. They had no more golden light to them, suggesting it was only like that during the transformation. Hope you are better flying than you are running, Momo joked. I'm leaving you to a limo ride for that. Izuku began to slowly beat his wings enough to get off the ground. Izuku, I'm joking. She grabbed his arm. I enjoy flying. More than a limo. I don't know if I am more comfortable than those seats, and I don't have drinks in me well yet. Shut up. The girl grinned. Let's get going. 8. At ludicrous speed. Izuku grinned because he knew Momo was going to tell at him later for what he was about to do. At what Momo asked before Izuku immediately swept her off of her feet by carrying her and fly off at a fast speed towards UA. Hasashi finished writing the letter, ignoring the pain in the 3 jagged cuts that ran across his face. They had been bandaged up after his son attacked him, and he didn't let the doctors fix them properly. He purposely let them be that slightly ever-living bit of painful to be a reminder to him of what he considered his biggest mistake. He had work to do in the form, and what follows it will surely be a path it won't be easy to follow. "Hey, we're home," Izuku shouted as he opened the door for Momo to enter first, them holding hands as they. Izuku had finally gotten to have a bet with Momo, mostly because she felt really confident that she would be the correct one in the bet. The bet was to see if the others would react more to one of the 2 changes from their outing. Momo said that they would flip out more over his wings being back, and while he loved the limbs, he said that it would cause more uproar if they walked in holding hands like the couple they finally were. "Hello." Hanta was the first to say anything. He didn't turn around though because he was wrapping Denki up in his tape. "Oh shit, boss." Denki looked at Izuku. "Your wings are back." "Real shit." Hanta turned around. A loud gasp was heard. It was Mina pointing at Izuku and Momo's hands that were wrapped around each other. Uncensored hand-holding. Alwa Ochako had a grin. "You finally did something." "Yeah." Premarital hand-holding, Mina exclaimed. "How dastardly." Katsuki had a blank expression as he said that dryly. "Well, hand-holding is a serious matter, Dynamite," Denki replied. "Why is he covered in tape?" Izuku asked, pointing at the electric blonde. "Lost a bet," Hanta replied as he turned around to wrap more tape around his friend. "Unwrap him," Momo sighed. But Nito. Hanta looked to the one-for-all inheritor who was left in charge. Nito shrugged. "They're the leaders and they are back." "I lost power. Can we stick him to the ceiling?" Izuku asked. Momo whacked his arm. "Izuku." The halo-bearing teen got a defensive look. "But sticky tape." "No, sticky tape." "Izuku, we are unwrapping him." "Sticky tape." He ran into a pole. Izuku turned red. "One of these times that won't work. I'll milk it until then," Momo stated. "I wanted to stick you to the wall." Hanta had a disappointed look as he unwrapped Denki. "Did we all just skip over the hand-holding?" Mina was standing on her chair pointing at Izuku and Momo, still holding hands. "We also skipped over the ing wings," Katsuki stated. "Yeah, I got my wings back." Izuku had a grin. "Later we are on the hand-holding." Mina wasn't going to let this just go on without being the biggest deal of the day. "Are you guys finally dating?" Toru asked from her spot in the kitchen. "Does it count as dating if there hasn't been a date?" Izuku turned to Momo. "I think today counted as a date." Momo wanted it to count so that they were dating by all counts. The leading saint turned back to face his invisible classmate and nodded. "Hey, we're dating." "Awa, nice, now we can go on double dates." The invisible girl got excited. "It's like we aren't dating," Kyoka said flatly as she looked at Nito next to her. "You guys are dating, but you guys are squares," Toru stated. "We're squares?" Nito asked. "You did say on day 1 that you basically do a job of keeping Izuku from being an idiot. You've been slacking, by the way," Izuku added. "I don't think I am a square," Kyoka responded to the claim. "Compared to boss, you kinda are," Toru replied. "Well, that's not a fair comparison when I go out of my way to be stupid sometimes," Izuku stated. "We all are squares compared to the boss." "Hell yeah, I'm a big-ass circle," the leading saint nodded. "Would everyone stop changing the subject off of them dating?" Mina asked. "It was expected, so we are all A," Ajiro said. "However, those wings, how'd they come back?" "I got my gold transformation," Izuku explained. "It healed my back up better than ever and I guess reset my wings to being back with me. The Namu must have erased my connection to them and the transformation brought them back." "Same as usual wings, like nothing changed?" Denki asked. "Yep, and the transformation I am dubbing Saint's Grace. It fits because that one feels like a graceful transformation, especially compared to my demonic one." "Does it change your mind or you lose control like the demonic one?" Tsuyu asked. "In control. I actually feel clear-minded in it." "Good. Saints' demons being uncontrollable is bad enough," Ochako stated. "How did you get access to the Saint's Grace?" Tenya asked. Izuku really didn't want to admit he had a moment of basic self-implosion to them. "Thankfully," Momo answered. "I told him I loved him and ed him." Momo skipped the previous part of that event. "Oh, Amina cooed. That's so romantic." "If you me do I get wings?" Ijiro asked Toru with a great N before she put a biscuit she was baking in his face. "I didn't get wings," she replied. "We don't need them to be cool." "I don't need them either, but I love them regardless," Izuku said. "That's how we feel about Pinky," Katsuki joked. Yamina agreed before she realized what he meant. "Hey, I will fight you, PFFT. Please, it wouldn't be a fight." The explosive blonde scoffed. "Yeah, it'll be me committing a massacre," Mina boasted, while Katsuki rolled his eyes. "No fighting in the dorms," Momo said, even though she doubted they would at all. "Yeah, we have a garden." Izuku nodded at his words before Momo smacked him over the head. "No, I thought you said no fighting in the dorms." Izuku looked at her, rubbing the smacked area. "Does one hit really count as a fight?" Ijiro asked. If I slap Denki before untying him, does it count? Hanta asked. A fight implies he could attack back, Toru pointed out. I can totally fight back like this, Denki defended himself. I still have teeth. If that fails, just talk until their brain cells commit mass suicide. Kyoka laughed. If that worked, then everyone Glowstick has ever met would be as dumb as him. Katsuki stated. I am hurt. Izuku fake cried. In my spleen. Why the spleen? Ochako asked. Don't encourage him. Nito sighed. That's where I feel my emotional pain. Wouldn't that be the heart or brain? Ochako asked another question. I dunno about that. Izuku shrugged. I'm just built different. Built like an idiot. Momo deadpanned. Yeah, but you're the one who confessed their love for this idiot Sone. Izuku stuck his tongue out at her. She gave a slightly annoyed and amused look back. What does the spleen actually do? Denki asked. It fights infection and keeps our body fluids in balance. Mezu answered. Dude, we learned about it yesterday in class. Hanta had a flat look at his electric friend. Bold of you to think I retained that knowledge. Denki pointed his now free hand at his tape-using friend. Where's Eri? Izuku asked. With Yui. Katsuki pointed towards the garden. See you guys. Izuku immediately left for the garden. See you guys. Momo gave everyone a smile as she turned to follow Izuku. Mina turned to the others. You all prevented us from hearing the juicy details, saying that like we weren't going to be on that later. Tori replied. I'm going after those details, but later. Izuku opened the glass door to the garden and saw his favorite 6-year-old. Eri, who was with Yui by some flowers helping her water and tend to them, dropped her pail of water and got happy. She ran up to him. You're back. Then she noticed his wings. You have wings. Yeah, I do. Izuku grinned. How did they return? Yui asked in curiosity. I got my newest transformation. Izuku answered. You two are dating then? The quiet saint asked. We didn't even get to say it ourselves. Momo replied. I figured with it being the gold liquid it had to be an inverse of the anger he got for his demonic transformation. You two were on a date, so it made sense to assume that. It really wasn't a date at first, Izuku stated. But it is now, so it is always a date. Shush. Izuku put his hand against Yui's mouth, an action that annoyed her mildly. No using logic and smarts here. Can you fly? Eri was trying to poke a wing without touching the fire. I definitely can. It's fun. I want to fly. Let's go then. Not until you get properly readjusted to your wings, Momo stated as she stopped Izuku in his tracks. Right. Izuku nodded. I'll add that to my training before the Saints Festival. It's called the Sports Festival, Izuku. Not when the Saints will be running the show. You can't use your wings there. It was mentioned you lost your wings, so keep them properly hidden until needed. But dang, you're right. Izuku gained a downcast look. Damn, I really can't flex them, can I? I wouldn't. And you are the smart one, so damn. Izuku snapped his fingers. I'm still taking Eri for a joyride sometime this week, after you get more accustomed to them, Momo said with a tone suggesting she wasn't taking any argument. Oh, for sure. He looked at Eri. At most it should be 3 days. I can't wait. Eri was practically bouncing. The next day was uneventful for the most part, mostly just the class taking it easy and relaxing at the dorms. There was only one big thing that happened, and it happened around noon. Guys, Ijiro got everyone's attention as he entered the commons. It has been a good tense week of you guys missing the left side of my face, but now I get to take the bandages off. Finally, Tori replied. Now I won't be dating a half-mummy. She had a playful smirk. Granted, no one could see it since she was invisible. Now he's gonna be burnt crocodile. Denki joked. Why a crocodile? Ijiro gave an odd look as he was beginning to loosen his bandages. You have Crocs. Hanta indicated to the footwear. You have become Crocman of the class. Okay, I guess. The red had an amused expression. Now, without any further ado, he took the bandages off of his face in one motion, and everyone saw his scars. The majority of the right side of Ijiro's face was indeed scarred a deep red from his burns, with odd cracks running across the burns as an effect of his hardening quirk. The scars had a tough look, like if you touched them they would feel hard. True to what Ijiro said the week prior, his hair on the left side of his head was revealed to be shaved down, but it was already back to growing. The rest of his hair wasn't spiked up anymore, so it wouldn't look as odd until he had all of his hair back at a good length. When Ijiro removed the bandages from his arm, everyone could see that the burns just stayed the same in appearance as his face did, the scars running all the way up to his hands and fingers. Well, Ijiro asked with a look of hidden embarrassment. He was just a little bit self-conscious of his scars and was wondering how his class would react. Hot, Tori replied. Like a badass, Katsuki added. A hot badass, Toru added to his words. Dude, it looks cool how your scars all look like basically red rocks. Denki spoke up. It looks hot. Toru was biting her lip. Okay girl, damn. Mina gave her best friend an odd look. We get it now that you like how he looks. It just Toru was blushing hard and thanking the Lord that she was invisible to hide that. It looks really hot. You didn't say that about my scars. Izuku looked at Momo, who put a couch pillows against his face. Stupid, I said something at my house. Now you touched something. Izuku remembered how long her hand was on his face when she first saw his red halo veins and horn. Whoa, that's naughty talk. Hanta made a timeout hand motion. No freaky business in the comments. Denki added, from anyone in a relationship. So does that give freedom to those of us not in a relationship to be freaky? Minoru raised his hand to ask the question. Please no one be freaky. Tenya pinched the bridge of his nose. Freaky business is a no-go, Izuku announced, says the one that spooned his girlfriend. Katsuki mumbled from the kitchen. Why? Momo cut herself off from what she was going to ask. Get a new topic to talk about. What's a better topic to discuss than freaky business? Minoru asked. Legos. Ochako, Denki and Hanta answered at the same time. I see you are people of culture as well. Ochako nodded in approval at the two guys. The next morning, Izuku shot up in a cold sweat, cursing under his breath as he got up and wiped the sweat from his brow. That time the nightmare felt way too real. Izuku could still feel everything that had happened. He wasn't just there in the area during the nightmare this time. He was directly involved in it. His actions were his own, but they felt guided by hate, and it felt wrong, like something in him was panicking the entire time in the nightmare. Why was he panicking? He was in some sort of building and kept attacking people as he ran through it. It didn't make sense that he was feeling a panic like that when he seemed like he one who should be making others panic, since it looked like he was just destroying them. What was worse was that it looked like he was covered in a black layer of skin that was leathery, like his saint's demon's form. A paranoid part of Izuku was worried about these nightmares. They all felt like real events and all seemed to have to do with him. Why was the halo leaking some sort of future-seeing ability that he doesn't have? Was it trying to warn him? Izuku shook it off. There wasn't any way that was it. This was just some weird set of dreams that he had from stress or something. Right. Later that day, on the way back to the dorms from class, Nito got Izuku's attention. Hey, did you notice what happened? The blonde asked. You mean Denki sticking a pencil to the ceiling? No, not that. This. He held his phone towards Izuku so he could see an article. Izuku only read the headline and then blinked in surprise. Spitfire Hasashi Midoriya steps down as a pro hero for unknown reasons. What? Izuku grabbed the phone to read it more. As much as he didn't like his father, the man spontaneously dropping his hero career was seriously something. Earlier today, the pro hero Spitfire, who was ranked number 9 in the hero charts of Japan, had announced he was leaving his career as a hero. When asked why, Spitfire only had the odd answer of I don't deserve the title. Spitfire had new injuries from an unknown fight, 3 scars running across his face, and it can be assumed that whatever event gave him those scars also made him question his career as a pro hero. Izuku stopped reading. His father actually quit his job. Why was it because of Izuku? He shook his thoughts. That man shouldn't matter to Izuku after what happened. You okay? Nito asked. Doesn't affect me. Izuku tried to play off his confusion. I'm fine. All Might. Hasashi got the man's attention as he left the police station. All Might stopped for a second in confusion. Why was this man here? He should remember All Might being one of the people that was there when he and his son had that altercation last week. He didn't like this man but was kind of curious, admittedly, why the man actually did drop from his hero career. He was also curious about the scars Hasashi had. Why did they look like they weren't treated as best as they could be? Spitfire, how are you? As much as he really hated what this man did to his son, he still had some politeness to him. I am not a hero anymore, so that title doesn't belong to me. Hasashi seemed a bit nervous. He held 2 letters to All Might. I am just delivering these. I can't nor think I should be the one to actually deliver them, so I am asking you to. This one is unmarked, the blonde hero remarked. He felt bad about seeing the one that had Izuku's name on it. That's for whoever is the proper father, Hasashi admitted. I just assumed you would know. His real father figure passed away last year. All Might didn't know why he bothered telling him that. Can you at least give him the letter? Hasashi asked. I know I don't deserve it, but if he at least receives it, I will be thankful. He has the sports festival in less than 6 days. The 8th holder of One for All said, I will not give it to him till after so that he doesn't lose focus on his training and friends. Truthfully, All Might felt like not handing it to him at all, but he will keep it with him. He was also going to read the other letter to see what this man had to say, feeling suspicion it might be an act to get Izuku. Thank you, All Might. Hasashi gave a nod of his head and left. All right, Saints, listen up. Aizawa said that Friday at the end of the school day, he had just gone to calling the class by their group name since they all definitely responded to it. Truthfully, he liked the kids being in that group. Granted, he didn't really approve of the Saints from G original timeline when he heard about them a few days prior. But this version was good. The kids all were growing in good ways, even if one of them seemed to just attract situations to himself. This weekend, do not work yourselves too hard. On Monday, you have the sports festival to participate in, and I know how much you all have been working for it. It would be a waste if you tired yourself out right before it. I planned on getting tickets for my parents and heading home anyways. Katsuki shrugged. They don't have tickets this late. They'd be gone by now. Aoyama stated. We figured you kids would want a ticket for all of your parents so they have some front row seats as well. So Midoriya gets to see her son be an idiot up close. Katsuki joked. Hey, I was planning on just being dumb. Not an idiot. Izuku defended himself. I'm assuming Yuri has one. She has one. Aizawa nodded. At the festival you will be in just your gym clothes. That way the kids in the hero course classes don't have a huge advantage over the others with their outfits and gear. Can we add a purple stripe to our gym clothes? Izuku asked innocently. It's not like a huge change or anything, just a way to show we are the saints and such. Won't we be bigger targets than Hanta asked? We are already big targets, Fumikage stated. This can show we saints are badass and will proudly show how cool we are. Mina spoke up. Can we do it? Izuku asked again. The tired teacher made a sighing sound. I will ask Nezu, since it will be a change to your actual school gym clothes. Oh sensei, I kinda forgot all week but I got a new transformation. Izuku made a slightly embarrassed smile when he said that. I think it's the positive flip of that demonic one. Can you control yourself in it? Aizawa wasn't conscious at USJ when Izuku went istic, but present Mike had definitely said enough for him to get a picture of how bad it was. He didn't want Izuku to have another transformation he couldn't control. Oh yeah, I feel fine in it. I actually have been using it at night to check what it can do. The bell rang at that point, signaling the end of the school day. Leave a paper for me and I will make note of it. Aizawa laid down in his sleeping bag. Does that bell dismiss us or signal his nap time? Ijiro asked. It was now the day of the sports festival, and the entirety of 1A was too excited and had all woken up early and were already prepped in their gym clothes, being told they would head straight for the stadium from their classroom where they would just have attendance. Nezu had allowed a purple addition to the gym clothes of the class, making the area that was blue around the neck and shoulders upper above the white U of violet color. Boss, I don't think the necklace and shades are allowed, Mezu said as Izuku sat at the table he and Ochako were at. Damn, I guess. Izuku rubbed the necklace. After the purple request for our clothes, I guess I should at least not wear this. Not the shades too, Ochako asked. I won't remove them. He looked at Eri next to him. Hey Eric, wanna have some ice around your neck? That would be cold, Eri responded. Izuku had an amused look. I meant the necklace. I can't wear it during the festival I suppose, so why don't you? Okay. Eri didn't even question it and got happy when he handed the gold necklace to her. She's repping now, Izuku commented. Are you sure we can't just flex a little? Katsuki asked as Ijiro and Momo walked out of the garden and inside. I finally got used to my buff ability, and my bull rush is awesome, Ijiro added. Guys, there might be people watching the festival that might be our enemies. Katsuki responded. We are supposed to be badass saints. Who says we need the element of surprise like that? To be fair, I randomly jumped into things at USJ and lost a finger. Izuku wiggled the stub of his middle finger. As much as I want to flex my beats boast, we should keep them under wraps, Kyoka stated. The boss can't use his wings. Think how annoyed he is about that. Really annoyed. The leading saint agreed. Although I might slip with one of my abilities. What? Momo asked. My Saint's Grace. I am actually decent at summoning it on command like Saint's Rage, but sometimes if I get too happy it just turns on. So don't be happy, ho, Katsuki said flatly. I am not happy because you called me a ho. Cry about it. I will. Izuku made fake tears. Hello saints, Tenya said as he came back inside. He had a slightly upset look. What's wrong, man? Minoru looked up at who he actually considered his closest friend as a saint. It's nothing. I was hoping my brother would come to the sports festival, but he said he had to be on a case in Hasu still. It's okay because he said he was recording it to see me. Hey, then you get to watch it with your brother and watch as his jaw drops at your awesomeness, Denki said. Yeah, at least your brother cares, man. Minoru remembered his own older brother who was just a. Thanks, Minoru. Tenya smiled. Hey guys, let's get going. Nito stood up as he saw the time. Yep, let's go. Izuku jumped up and clapped his hands. A man was standing in a crouched position on the corner of a rooftop. He had multiple blades strapped to him and a red and tattered scarf and headband. He was gazing around the building tops when he heard the sound of movement behind him. Shizo Makaguro, a gruff-sounding man, announced himself as he walked towards him from a dark portal. The bladed man known as Chizome turned and GTNA look at this man. The man was massive and muscular, enough that it could be questioned if he could fight All Might for a bit on equal ground. He had a custom-made green suit on, underneath an open trenchcoat with a hood that partially hid what looked like a lucha mask with green and red designs. You are a hard man to locate, or do you prefer Stain? The bladed man threw a knife at this masked man and watched as the man simply moved out of its path. Ah, Chizzy, don't be like that. Who are you, Chizome? Or Stain asked with an intense look. I'm just here for a business investment. You have a similar goal to my boss's, heard through the grapevine. You want to remove false heroes from our society to clean it, so does my boss. Stain narrowed his eyes. What do you want? My boss just thinks that there should be a trade. He gives you a boost, and you, in return for the generous offer, erase a group of false heroes. Who are these heroes? Stain asked in interest. The masked man grinned, knowing a deal was definitely going to be made. He held up a medallion that he was to offer the hero killer Stain, an orange medallion with what appeared to be a white tribal-styled stencil of a stag's head on it. They are called the Saints. You can make them suffer if you want. It would actually be preferable. The blade-wielding villain put away his sword and gazed at the medallion. I still have things to do here in Hasu. You don't have to drop your goals. That would ruin the fantastic job you are doing of getting rid of false heroes. You are patronizing. Stain narrowed his eyes. I get that a lot. The masked man didn't even hide his smugness. He held the medallion out still. So are you interested? What is the point of this? Stain looked at the medallion. Call it a token of power. The masked man grinned. All right, class, I want you all to remember one thing before I leave. Aizawa was looking at his class in the big locker room the class had at that point, which was kinda useless with them all coming to the event in their gym clothes, but luckily Momo made them bring spare clothes. Don't overdo it. Overdo what? Izuku asked. For you, a lot of things. The teacher responded. Don't rub it in the other classes' faces when you win. I know there is a whole war of the classes, but you are all still UA, students and heroes in training. Heroes don't, or shouldn't, have petty arguments that lead to bigger problems. Momo added at that point. Also remember the rules on our special powers. Aizawa nodded. Since you all decided to have enemies from the get-go, that is wise. He opened the door so he could leave. I know you guys will do well. Midoriya, please keep your antics to a minimum. The teacher was still mildly annoyed about Izuku's masturbation jokes at USJ. I can't promise that. Izuku replied. Maybe a medium. I'll take it. The man sighed and left. Well guys, we got Sensei's belief in us. Hanta grinned. Well yeah, he saw us at USJ. Mina said, he knows our skills and has faith in us. I'm going to blow it. Izuku groaned as he out his head against the table. Now that he told me not to be dumb, I wanna be dumb. God, you're like a child. Katsuki said flatly. Is it that hard to act mature? Kyoka asked. No, yes. Izuku sighed. Man, I don't trust myself to not say something stupid. Just don't put yourself in the spotlight. Nito said, even though he felt that it would be inevitable that he would get attention and say something dumb in front of the entire audience. It's time to get to the gate, Nito announced, having been told when they all should get to the entrance to the field. Hello ladies and gents, the teacher present mic was heard over the speakers. Oh god, he is the one announcing everything. Toru whined. We're gonna go deaf. Kyoka was holding her ears. It is now time for those kids you all have been waiting to see show their stuff enter the field. There was a pause as he waited for the classes to all give a signal to say they were ready. Starting if with the kids who have fought villains. They showed those bad guys what's what, got back up and are ready to show they won't back down. It's class 1A. The class of Saints all walked out of the tunnel and into the bright daylight and the sights of the stadium of people. That's a good hype up. Ijiro grinned as they walked. He didn't mention us being saints. Izuku pouted only for a second before he was grinning again. Oh well, now we get to make a bigger deal of it. They are tough, they got grit. They are gonna show they have just as much if not more skill as the others. It's class 1B. Present mic announced the next class, who were exiting from a similar tunnel in the inner side of the large field from 1A. Present mic announced the rest of the classes, but with just slightly less enthusiasm. The hero course classes, as much as it should be an equal situation, were always the main focus of the sports festival. This year it was even more noticeable when the focus was even more on Class 1A for surviving the attack at USJ. Now everyone welcome the chief referee for the freshman stage this year. It's UA's very own Super Y R-rated hero Midnight. The woman in question hopped up onto the stage in front of all of the gathered students and struck one of her infamous provocative poses in her equally provocative hero suit. Everyone play fair, or I'll have to punish you. She winked into a camera and the student's direction. I feel like it is kinda sus for her to be in charge of us, Hanta remarked. I'm down with it though. Minoru was grinning stupidly as he was looking at the teacher. Can I have the freshman representative please come up here for an opening speech? The provocative ref asked as she looked at the kid. No one moved for a second. Who's the representative? Izuku asked. Midoriya, it's you. Tetsu thankfully said. If your class didn't skip orientation, you'd know that. Wait, I have a spotlight. Izuku got a grim expression for a second. On one hand, nice because now he can proclaim the Saints as the best. But on the other hand, he knew damn well he would say something stupid. Just say something inspiring and get back here. Momo offered. You can do it. Say something stupid and I will laugh my ass off, Katsuki stated. Izuku Midoriya Midnight said the name of the representative to see if he was even aware of his title. The title was given to the highest scoring student of the entrance exams. Oh, here I go, I guess. Izuku walked out of his class and up the stage to the podium. Wanna bet he says something stupid? Katsuki looked at Ijiro. Yeah, but I bet it will be great. The burnt redhead nodded. Izuku now stood at the podium. It was a bit overwhelming to Izuku, who realized that damn near a whole country and a good chunk of other countries were watching him at that exact moment. He almost choked on his own breath when he opened his mouth to speak, but he looked down at his class that were looking up at him and didn't feel as nervous anymore. I wasn't really prepared to say anything, Izuku admitted. We are here because everyone on this field has worked ourselves hard to be the best future heroes, gear makers, business makers, and people in general that we could be. which is why I now full on support that war that all of the other classes declared on my class. Oh god, he is making it worse, Nito muttered while pinching his nose. Let him finish, Kyoka replied. Izuku pointed at his class. We worked out asses off after villains tried to kill us to show we will never back down. That's what heroes and more importantly what saints do. We came here to show that we are the best, just like everyone else on the field. It would be a shame and disrespect to our hard work, everyone's hard work, if we all didn't respect that hard work and give this our best effort. I expect a saint to win, but I expect you to make us fight for it. Everyone should always go beyond what they can and go plus ultra. Most of the other students joined in on the plus ultra. Izuku jumped off the stage and walked to his class. That was actually surprisingly good, Momo said. I was expecting you to say something bad. Izuku fell to his knees once he got to his class. I can't believe I just gave a speech. Oh shit, I can't feel my legs. I thought I was going to do something stupid and look like an idiot. By the end of it, Izuku's voice was cracked and higher pitched. All of his classmates had flat expressions. They spoke too soon on him not doing anything dumb or embarrassing. The other classes, who were hyped by Izuku's speech, also gained flat expressions seeing his reaction just now. That was so precious, Midnight purred from the stage. Okay, let's now reveal what our first round will be. She motioned glamorously to a large screen over a portion of the stadium. The screen quickly flashed through a number of possible events for the first round before it settled on one word. Labyrinth. Labyrinth, Hanta asked. A maze from Greek mythology. Fumikage answered. Oh sweet heavens, we haven't had this one in a while, Midnight grinned. Cementos, it is your turn to do it. Cementos, a teacher from general studies who looked like a person was sculpted into blocky-like being of cement, moved to the front of the stage he and Midnight were on. Children, don't move please. Why not move? Mina looked at Ochako, who shrugged. Her question, along with similar questions from half of the students, were all answered immediately when Cementos used his cement manipulating quirk to lower the cement platform all of the students had been standing on lower into the ground. We have a labyrinth built underneath the stadium. Midnight answered the question happily as well as explained to the audience what was happening. The goal is for you kiddies to be the fastest back up here. There are multiple exits also. First 48 get to go on to the next round. This is neat, Izuku commented as all of the students still kept going lower and lower underground with the platform. How deep are they putting us? Toru asked. Does it bother anyone else that they closed the top? Well, it makes sense, Momo replied. Some of us have ways that we can just go straight up. I believe Cementos manipulated tunnels for us to get out with. Hey, we stopped, Izuku stated as the platform did stop finally, with multiple tunnels leading away from them. How do we know which way to take? Denki asked. Mazes don't tell you the way. Out numbnuts, Katsuki responded. I know that. Denki looked offended. I mean, how do we quickly figure that out? Time to start. Midnight announced the beginning of the round. A large majority of the classes all ran in multiple directions and tunnels. Only classes A and B stayed out, but in their own separate groups away from each other. Question, Izuku said with a raised finger. Can we try just going straight up? She said. First ones back. Not first ones to solve the labyrinth. Have to solve it the normal way, Midnight answered, letting the kids know that she was listening. Well damn. Oh wait guys, I got an idea, Izuku said. My ping. I think I know what you mean. Nito spoke. We split into groups and use the ping to alert the others to our path if we find the correct one. Yes, that won't work well. Momo shook her head. If this wasn't a timed event in a competition it would be smart, but that just means one group will be lucky and the others might not be fast enough to catch up. How about we send our fastest people through paths and they can tell us which are the right ones, Mina offered. That leaves most of us just sitting here though, Hanta pointed out. We're doing that anyways. Yui pointed out that. Alright Saints, I have a plan. At least some of us should pass with it, Izuku said. Everyone split into your branches and take some paths. I think we can definitely do this. Alright, branch 1, follow me. Tenya made a motion with his hands and Katsuki, Yui, Mashurao and Minoru began to follow. The blue-haired leader pointed at a tunnel. We shall take this one. Lead the way, Minoru shouted. Alright cool kids, with me. Ijiro grinned as he pointed at another path. We take that one, Mina. Hanta, Denki and Toru all followed him. Cool's kids heading out. Denki grinned as they left. We will take that one. Shoto looked at another tunnel. Ribbit, we got this, Suyu added. Izuku looked at the 4 saints he had left with him, those being Momo, Nito, Aoyama and Kyoka. Alright Team Dynamite. Izuku clapped his hands. How do we pick this tunnel? I can use my earphone jacks to listen for what sounds like outside, Kyoka offered. We're kinda far. Can you reach that far? The leading saint asked. I can, she nodded. Sounds might be off, but I can definitely hear that far. You got this, Nito gave reassurance. Kyoka smiled and put a jack into the ground. Let's see, no dead end too many people. Dio, wait. She opened her eyes and pointed at a path directly behind her. That one, it was so many winding paths and I hear air coming from half of them. Yano, I think we should have had you do that before the other groups went off. Izuku gave an embarrassed laugh. give me a sec. Kyoka out her jack back into the ground. She was quiet for a second. They all have paths that lead out. They will have to fight for it, but they have exits. Just hope they get them in time. Izuku guessed. We have our own conflict. 2 groups, Kyoka answered. Let's dazzle them. Aoyama offered. They already started fighting each other. Let's still dazzle them. Izuku said. Let's hurry and go. Nito said as he channeled one for all at 10%. Hey Aoyama, wanna ride? Izuku offered. As much as it is enticing to save my breath, I was enthralled by your speech and want to give hard effort myself. Aoyama answered. I believe I can keep up. That's cool. Do you want to ride? Izuku gave Momo a dumb look when he asked her. I'm interested. Momo replied. Flirt later, win now. Kyoka ran first, Nito following. That wasn't ah hell, yay it was. Izuku had a grin as all 5 of them began to head into their tunnel. All right, left or right? The blue-haired leader of the first branch of Saints asked as his group consisting of him, Katsuki, Yui, Mashirao and Minoru stood at a fork in the torch-lit tunnels. Is there a way to know for sure? The short Saint asked as he looked down the path to the right. If we had Gyro or Shaoji perhaps. Mashirao said. I got it. Yui spoke up, gaining everyone's attention. Katsuki can use these. She showed some rocks she had been picking up to use with her quirk later. With his explosions and see what the echo sounds like with them going down the tunnels. Sounds good to me. The explosive member of the group agreed. It sounds good indeed. Tenya nodded. Try it please. Katsuki nodded and took a rock from Yui. I'm throwing this as hard as shit, so stand back. The 4 others stepped back and he wound up like a pitcher in a base game before throwing the rock with force and unleashing an explosion on it. The rock continued to hit against things and the group listened as it sounded like it went farther underground. Okay, the left path sounds deep. Minoru commented. Let's still test the right path. Tenya stated. On it. Katsuki responded as he repeated the process and launched it down the right path. The echo sounded like the oath went up above them through the distance. That's higher. Means more likely to be outside. Mashirao said as he looked behind them. How far do you think you threw the rocks? Minoru looked up at Katsuki. Far enough. The explosive teen responded. Definitely more than a good couple of meters. We shall take the right path, Tenya announced as he pressed forward. Smart idea, princess. Katsuki nodded to Yui as they all began to go down the path. Thank you. Yui turned red, but it was unnoticeable in the light of the tunnel. With Ijiro's branch, the second branch of the Saints was doing things little different than the first branch when it came to making decisions. Call it, heads or tails. Ijiro flipped the coin. Heads, Mina shouted. Tails, the other 3 shouted. It's heads, Ijiro announced. Denki snapped his fingers. Suck it, losers. Mina stuck her tongue out at her friends. We are totally going left. They would let whoever guessed the flip right decide which way they would go at a split. Was it smart? No, not really. Did they care though? A little, but they were trying to have fun. I'm getting it right next time, Toru declared. You said that last time. Hanta commented. Well, my chances are 50-50. Yeah, but this is our 4th flip and you are still wrong. Denki pointed out. Don't sass me. Toru pointed an invisible hand at him. Hey guys, does anyone else feel the tunnel shaking or is that just me? Ijiro asked. Nah, I feel it too. Hanta spoke right before the tunnel caved in behind them. With Shoto's branch. This way, Mezu announced as he used his quirk to find the best path out. Good job. Shoto praised as they kept going. It is fortuitous that we have an enhanced sensor in our group. Fumikage stated. It is. Mezu nodded. Ribbit. I think someone might be following us. Siyu said from the back of the group. Achako was thinking about how she somehow was in the group that had the people who didn't speak much and would always get right to the point. She lived her branch, but she was also trying to think of how funny it would be to be around someone like Izuku or Denki. The 2 people she found to be the funniest around. Dark Shadow and I will keep watch on the back. Fumikage slowed down to take the rear. He considered taking off his eye patch, but he didn't want to reveal his demon eye yet. With Izuku's group. What's the plan for conflict? Izuku asked as he got them all to stop at a corner. People around the corner, Nito asked. 4 of them, Kyoka informed with an earphone in the wall. They heard us stop, so they are paying attention to this direction. We outnumber them. Izuku stated. Everyone will definitely fight each other to be the ones in the lead. We shouldn't beat up anyone. Momo said. Give everyone a chance. Nah baby, I am working with natural selection here. Izuku made his hand light up with a green blast. Natural selection isn't an excuse to attack people. Nito responded. I don't even know what natural selection is. Izuku replied with a dumb grin. He knew full well what natural selection was, but he was trying to find an excuse to fight someone. Don't try it. One of the kids from the other group said as a thick fog of smoke suddenly appeared from around the corner. You won't win 1A. Another person, a girl this time, said. Wow, they really want the smoke. Izuku commented. It looks like they are giving it. Aoyama commented. Please let me fight them now. Izuku looked at Momo with begging eyes. Make it fast. You forget them, I will watch our back. Momo tapped Izuku's forehead. Up top, Kyoka earned of the first attacker. A kid with yellow skin and crackling with electricity tried to drop on Nito, but the saint used a F with one for all, powering it to send the kid back up into the ceiling, where he hit it with force before falling to the ground knocked out. Die, a girl growled before she leaped through the fog right at Nito. It was the girl with panther-like characteristics from Izuku's entrance exam. Nito didn't have time to react, but luckily Aoyama was ready and shot a beam at the girl, hitting her in the stomach. Kyoka was also prepared for the girl at the same time and sent a wave of sound like a blast that, combined with Aoyama's laser, sent the girl into a wall and she became unconscious as well. Man, this fog is neat, Izuku commented as he charged a green blast into both of his hands. Shame if someone were to just throw attacks into it recklessly. He then threw both blasts into the ground at each other to make a large backlash that made most of the fog push to the sides of the hall momentarily, revealing the last two people. Well, that blows. A girl with eyes that looked like S of smoke and long hair in a braid that also looked like smoke remarked, "Fusake, give me a sec." She took a step back and held her hands in a circular style. "I gotcha, Hisoki." The fourth person, a guy who had flame-like pink hair and crimson eyes, replied as he rushed Izuku, his arms and legs setting on fire at the forearms and calves down. "Wow, that looks cool," Izuku said in awe. "Thank you." Fusake grinned and a blast of flames from his feet blasted him off of the ground and he spun into a kicking motion at Izuku. "Those lines on you look cool also." Izuku grinned and blocked the guy's kick, before dropping down and punching up at the back of Fusake's knee with a green blast-powered punch. Fusake showed his excellent control of his quirk and released another blast of fire from his targeted foot to propel it away from harm as he used another blast in his hand to slam his elbow into Izuku's shoulder and send him backwards with force. "Damn, you pack a punch." Izuku rubbed his brushed shoulder. Fusake grinned. "Thanks, you can take a punch." "I think it was an elbow." Izuku corrected himself and Fusake. "Shut up, Izuku," Momo sighed. Fusake, Hisoki shouted as she held a thick of smoke in both hands. "Get back." "Got it, Chief." Fusake blasted himself away from Izuku and watched as his friend threw both S of smoke and one hit Kyoka. Oh hell, it is like a brick. Kyoka cursed as the S of smoke exploded into a thick fog that covered the entire hallway. "I'm the only one who can breathe in this well," Hisoki said from somewhere in the fog. "Everything will move sluggish for you guys, but I can glide around. You wanted a war, so I am going to get class 1 degrees Celsius some respect." Izuku grinned like a madman. "Now this is giving it your all." "Hisoki, I need to take a sec to charge." Fusake was heard everywhere. "You do that. I have this now. It's a good thing I have tricks of my own," Izuku commented as he lit his purple halo veins up with their fire. "Come close and get burned. My smoke will just take its oxygen," Hisoki replied. "My flames don't need oxygen." Izuku decided to start using his ping so none of them in the smoke would accidentally hit each other. "That's a setback." "So is this?" Kyoka released a heartbeat pulse at Hisoki, who it took effort to find in her fog that made her almost silent. She hit him hard enough to stun her and threw off her stance, leaving her open for Izuku to realize where she was and slam a fist into Hisoki's jaw, sending her sprawling to the ground. "That's a good hit," Hisoki groaned, feeling that her jaw was definitely in need of some attention. "I concede." She looked mad at herself for admitting defeat. Izuku gave a smile to the girl. He could see better now. "Hey, your stuff was damn cool. If we didn't have a sensor catch you off guard, who knows how that could have gone." Hisoki turned red, not used to actually praise. "Thank you." The smoke began to clear up and Fusake's form was seen. He was on one knee and breathing a bit hard. "So we're done now?" Fusake asked. "Why not join us?" Izuku offered. "No one says we can't work together to get to the exit." "Why?" Hisoki asked. "You guys are cool and round 2 will help you guys show what you got even more than this." Izuku offered a hand to Hisoki. "I thought from what Dai said that you all were just arrogant ass." The smoke user had a smile as she took Izuku's hand. "I guess we kinda started the fighting anyways." "You okay?" Nito asked Fusake, who was still on one knee. The pink-haired teen exhaled as he stood up. "Needed a sec because stronger bursts tend to take my breath away." He rolled his shoulders. "I'm good now. We might have gone overboard in dazzling them." Aoyama commented as he looked at the two unconscious ones. "I'm dazzled all right," Fusake said earnestly. "That was fun. We did kinda overdo it though." Nito was looking at the panther girl. "We did start it." Hisoki turned red when Fusake looked at her jaw. "It's fractured," the flame user stated. "You should be fine for now, but it should get a look at later." She turned redder when he touched her jaw to see how bad it was and pushed Fusake towards the unconscious Dai. "Check on Dai first, idiot." Fusake had a confused look but shrugged and went to check on his electric classmate. Izuku had a knowing look at Momo. "It's cute seeing it from the outside. That was us once. Except they never really acted like tsunderes that much." "Shut up, idiot." Momo playfully pushed his shoulder with a smile. "We should all hurry as to secure spots," Nito announced. "Yep, let's go." Izuku offered to carry the panther girl he had yet to recognize while Fusake carried his electric classmate with Tenya's branch. "Stop." Katsuki grabbed Tenya's shoulder. "Look down." The confused saint looked down to see an odd-looking brown substance on the ground. One more step and he would have placed his foot right on it. Looks like a trap, Minoru offered. Either other students in an attempt to slow others like us down or traps by the teachers to make us always stay alert. Mashiro added. It doesn't fit in with the hall. Katsuki studied it in a crouched position. It's 6 meters of space, so if we want to go farther this way we need a way over it. The tunnel is long enough and high enough that I can use my speed to jump over it. I can take someone with me. I can use my ass to scale the wall, Minoru claimed. I can use my explosions to go over it also. Katsuki turned to Yui. Lady's choice of ride. Yes, that is reasonable. Tenya nodded. Yui didn't like the sudden attention over who she would rather cling to get over a trap, although it wasn't hard for her to pick. Katsuki, alright, hold on tight. Katsuki waited for her to hold onto his back in a way that left his arms free to use his explosion. We'll go first to clear your path engines. Thank you, Bakugo. Tenya really enjoyed how docile Katsuki can be, and he was aware it was mostly around Yui. Minoru was already halfway across the trap at that point, but Katsuki and his explosions crossed it way quicker. Well, that was fun, wasn't it? Katsuki asked as he set both of his feet evenly on the ground. It was okay. Yui let go of Katsuki once Sue was aware she didn't need to be holding him anymore. A few seconds later, Tenya's engines were heard roaring to life, and a second later he was farther down the path than them with Mashiro due to his momentum. That was like a roller coaster, Mashiro commented as he balanced himself on his own feet. I like it, Tenya admitted. The fast speeds feel freeing. I feel that. Katsuki nodded in agreement. Moving around with my explosions is an experience I enjoy a lot. I don't get enjoyment like that from my quirk, Minoru sighed. It does feel a little funny when a new forms though. You think the guy who has a quirk based around us would enjoy it more? Katsuki joked and Yui stifled a laugh. Am I the only one who doesn't make a joke about my quirk involving us? The pop-off user asked. You haven't yet. The blonde was actually surprised. I don't think so. I hear something up ahead. Mashiro spoke up. It's wind, so either a quirk or we are close to the surface. Let's go slightly faster, Tenya suggested. Don't need to tell me that. Katsuki got moving. With Ijiro's branch. Well, we can't go back. Not unless we want to waste time digging this up. Ijiro kicked a rock lightly. Hopefully this way leads out. Denki looked up their only path. Is everyone okay? Toru asked. A small rock hit my ear, but it's nothing, just a little scrape. Mina rubbed her ear. Someone might have done that to us on purpose, Hanta claimed. And come luck, just lock us in the other side so we don't have a chance at all. Would they really go that far to make sure some of us don't win? Mina asked. Boss said he wants that war and some kids might want to see none of us in 1A go on to round 2 if they can help it. Denki shrugged. Makes sense to me. Anyways, let's get going. Ijiro whistled to get everyone's attention. No more jokes for now. I'm going to pull out the old Kirishima trick of rum head first, so everyone follow me so we can make a win happen here. Hell yeah, Mina and Toru nodded. The 5 began to run to the only path of their tunnel that they could. They ran on for a bit before a large hand made out of seemingly water smacked right into Ijiro, apparently solid as it sent him crashing into the opposite wall. If it isn't 1A, a girl with water-like hair sneered. The class that expects to win. Well yeah, Denki said. We're saints. Not now. Mina covered his mouth. Saints' pride. Hunter removed Mina's hand from Denki's face. We expect to win and everyone should aim to win. Ijiro was glad he had used Harden before getting smacked into a wall. We all gotta make each other work harder for our best. We outnumber you 4. A kid with black scales and a forked tail said from the ceiling. 5-4 in fact. A guy with a blaster-like metal hand said, having it aimed at Hanta. And we definitely wanna knock 1A down a peg. A 4th kid, one with gray skin and a rhino-like horn, said with a grin. I only count 4 of you though, Mina said as she pointed at the 4. 5. A friend 5th person said as he appeared from a flash of light behind Ijiro. Outnumbered obviously, the water girl said as she had her water swirl around her. Ijiro grinned. After dating her for the short amount of time they had, he had gained a good sense of knowing where Toru is most of the time. Her constantly trying on sneak up on him playfully made him know where she, completely invisible with no clothes to reveal her location, was. She was definitely an ace in this situation. No, Ijiro looked at Denki then Mina. If they counted better or paid attention more than they would now, numbers-wise we are equal. Mina nodded. She knew Toru was about to attack one of the other students. Yeah, it's 5-4. The person behind Ijiro attempted to strike before a sudden hit made him crash into the wall from a random purple glow. I make 5, Toru announced as she grinned at her one-hit knockout. Numbers mean nothing when you are this shocking. Denki took the chance and released electricity at the water-using girl. His aim more acute than it used to be. Hanta used his flexibility to do a spinning jump to dodge a shot from the blaster student before shooting tape at the kid, pulling the guy towards himself before flipping the kid and spinning more tape around him, tying him up all right as Hanta landed on his feet from the jump. Mina used her acid to ward off the scaled teen from using his tail to strike at her. She really wanted to use her discs. but remembered the rule of not to do that. Mina didn't need it though, and then slid on a less acidic version of her acid and used her strength to jump up and slam a fist covered in acid that would only burn like an itch for a little bit right into the teen. It caught him off guard, and Hanta capitalized on that to assist with Mina by tying him up with his tape. Ijiro had taken the final guy, who was the rhino-like one. They had charged each other with full force, both clashing to see whose quirk was stronger. The burnt redhead was tougher, and after a bout of wrestling with the rhino teen, he managed to grip him into a hold that pinned the guy's arms down to his sides. Ijiro, using hardening to stay stronger. Might want to yield, man, Hanta said as he looked at the rhino teen, who still struggled against Ijiro. We just took down your squad, Mina added. Wei Denki have a dopey expression and 2 thumbs up. How do you get better aim but can't stop yourself from doing that half of the time? Hanta gave his friend a dumb look. He did say his electricity was more potent. Toru stopped Denki from walking away in his short-circuited mind trance. I yield. The rhino teen sounded mad that he had to give up. He knew he had no chance against all 5 of them. He didn't even stand a chance against the burn scar kid everyone in his class, 1D, thought would be too weak to do anything worthwhile. That was good. Ijiro exhaled as he let go of the kid. You guys almost got us, but our boss is unpredictable, so all got that impromptu planning down to a T. Your form is also good, but don't shift your feet too much. It makes you easier to grapple off of the ground. He offered his hand to the kid to help him up. So are we untying them now that we won? Hanta was standing over the scaled teen. Well, we can't leave them here, and hopefully they honor the match and let us get a lead. Ijiro looked at the rhino kid. Wei Denki added. Not now, Sparky. Mina replied to the electric user. Well, you could easily just down us again, so we should honor it. Yay, and who knows, you might pass also and all of us can have it out again. Ijiro was glad the guy wasn't a sore loser. Luckily, we only knocked out 2 of them, Mina said. Nah, Sparky just stunned this girl. Hanta checked on the water girl. Her water must have protected her enough, although she will probably be weak in the knees for a bit. First time Denki ever did that to a girl. Mina laughed. Wei Denki might have been able to use only a single-digit number of brain cells at that moment. But the guy knew when there was a joke made at his expense. Iggy, that was so badass, Toru chirped to her boyfriend as they finished untying the students and began to go on through the tunnel. You had complete control the whole time. Not when I got smacked into the wall. Ijiro chuckled while rubbing the back of his head. Wei, Denki replied while Hanta led him with a piece of tape tied to Denki's wrist. How long should he be like that? Mina asked. Let's just find him a place to chill for a bit once we get up top. Ijiro stretched his arms. They should give us a small break in between matches and we can snap him back to normal then. He used his electricity in one attack and went stupid, Mina said. I thought he got better resistance built up. I think he noticed the water displacing his electricity and poured more into the shot to stun her. Hanta offered. Wei, Denki nodded, still having the dumb expression on his face. Well, he understood that. Toru responded. Aizawa had a smirk while watching his class. They were doing tremendously well, all about to get out of the labyrinth in their own paths. His only problem really were the conversations they had that were just he was definitely going to scold Katsuki for his humor that was on live television. Most of the labyrinth had camera that were all over the place watching all of the students, showing their progress and such, and everyone could hear everything that was being said, depending on who they were focusing on. People who weren't watching their own kids or meds and journalists were all for the most part on his class. He was just getting over Izuku making masturbation jokes at USJ, but now he was going to have to talk to Katsuki and Minoru about things that they should talk about on camera and what they shouldn't. This is the first time you didn't zone out or try to take a nap, Shota. Present Mike commented from beside him. These kids are actually worth watching. The ever-tired teacher replied. Awa, do you actually care for a class of yours? Present Mike asked. Yes. Midnight smiled as she saw the first of any kids to exit one of the tunnels of the labyrinth. It was Shoto's group. They had ran into no conflict at all in the labyrinth, and as a result of Mezu's enhanced senses found their way out quickly. The finish line is here, Midnight announced as she pointed to the cement platform remade by Cementos. All you got to do is set foot on it. Let's hurry, Shoto said as the 5 rushed to it. He was the first to set foot on it and as a result was first place. In second was Tsuyu, then Fumikage, then Mezu, then Ochako in 5th. We have our first bunch of kiddies out, Midnight said into the speakers for the labyrinth. Spots are going to fly off of the shelves now. True to that statement, more kids came out of the labyrinth. It was some of the kids from 1B. Where's Izuku? Ochako asked. Or Tenya's group. With the fighting in the labyrinth, I wouldn't be surprised if they ran into someone, Fumikage said as they watched the 1B kids get to the platform. We were just lucky to avoid conflict, Mezu added. Another tunnel had kids leave from it. It's Ida, Tsuyu remarked. They made it out too. Ochako got happy to see more saints. Over here, any kids getting fresh air? Midnight chirped to get their attention. The newly arrived saints looked over and got happy to see the others. We weren't first. Katsuki got surprised. We didn't run into anyone though. Neither did we, Shoto responded. We saw nothing and kept moving with Xiaoji's senses to guide. He was the key part of our group. We threw rocks and listened to the echoes. Minoru stated, our going around the trap probably made us second place. We don't have placements as teams, only individuals. Tenya pointed out. Even then this group from 1B beat you. Fumikage indicated to the others on the platform. Damn it, third place. Katsuki was still counting it as a group thing in his mind since it seemed everyone might have done this in groups. At least we beat Glowstick. Speaking of the boss, here he comes. Minoru pointed to another tunnel where Izuku's group was leaving. Why is he carrying some extra? Katsuki asked. Don't call people extras. Yui scolded lightly. Looks like he made friends. Ochako said as Izuku's whole group, Saints and Not, stepped onto the platform. More than 20 spots are taken. Halfway there, Midnight announced. What's up, guys? Izuku grinned at the two branches of his team that were there already. Why do you have a girl? Mashiro was the one to ask. We knocked her out and I felt like it was only right to bring her out of the place. You fight good, Kyusake said as he set his cousin down and looked at Izuku. You do too, man. Izuku grinned back at the cheerful pink-haired guy. More kids had stepped onto the platform, most being from 1B, but the purple-haired guy that Izuku didn't like from their interaction at the school was among them. Cementos actually approached them with 2 hired staff for the festival. Dai Udon and Mui Panza will be going to the clinic for now. We don't want any unwanted lingering injuries. Okie dokie. Izuku helped them out. The panther girl, now identified as Mui, into a stretcher. Isoki has a fractured jaw, Kyusake pointed out. It's fine. Isoki tried to play it off. Please report to Recovery Girls Clinic before the next round, Cementos said to the smoke user. You didn't have to say that. Isoki gave Kyusake an annoyed look. You're hurt. I wasn't going to ignore that. Kyusake didn't see what the problem was. Wait, are the cool kids not here yet? Izuku looked around for his missing saints. How are they the cool ones? Katsuki asked. They called dibs. That's not how cool works. Nito sighed. They called dibs on cool so they control what is cool. Heimina made her appearance known by jumping in the middle of the gathered saints and shouting. We made it. Wei Denki shouted, still fried in the brain. He overdid it, Kyoka asked as she looked at the electric blonde. Yep, Hanta nodded. Now I have a Pikachu on a leash. How long does he have? Momo asked. Without assistance, Ijiro tried to think. Maybe 10 minutes. Make him drink some water mixed with one of the packets from my bag. Momo said. It should speed him up. We kicked some ass, Toru said happily. Especially Toru, Ijiro said. She straight up one-hit KO. Dia guy. What about you wrestling that guy with your strength? Toru said. I helped take 2 down, Hanta said to Mina, who nodded. So we were really the only ones that encountered nothing? Ochako asked. Explains us getting here quicker, Shoto said. Not a single thing, Izuku asked. Nothing. What about the ghost of William? William, Fumikage asked in confusion. A chicken that we had hand in the death of. Nito sighed. Izuku, that would haunt you if anyone. Momo said flatly. Why would he haunt me? You killed him. No, gravity did. Izuku, you held him over the edge of the building, right? I did. And then let go, right? Yep. And he then hit the ground and died. That sounds right. You killed him then. It was gravity, Izuku replied innocently. Momo was annoyed, but not in a mad way. It was you. No, it was gravity. Boss has an assist kill. Hanta popped into the conversation. No, gravity does because it killed him and I didn't. He can build laser guns but doesn't understand logic, Momo said under her breath in a sigh. What type of chicken was William? Ijiro asked. There are types of chickens, Minoru asked. Bone in and bone out, Hanta answered. I'm pretty sure boneless chicken doesn't exist in the wild. Katsuki cut in. Nah, but you do. Hanta shot at him. But does that mean you look like a gremlin? Izuku offered. You look like someone shit Crayola on you, so don't come at me. Katsuki pointed at Izuku. Guys, there are cameras everywhere, Nito said with his face in his hands. Please stop for a minute at least, Tenya asked. A second later, Midnight spoke again. We now have all 48 kiddies for the next event. She took a sec as the screen flashed to show all 48 names lined up. We have all 20 sweet kids from 1A as well as 1B, 4 kids from 1 degrees Celsius, 3 kids from 1D and 1 special kitty from 1H. She took a second again so people can sink information in. Everyone did so excitingly in the labyrinth. You are all so cute. Now you 48 get to go on to our next event, which is, she looked to the screen before snapping back to looking at the kids. Going to be announced after a short break. What a tease, Katsuki sighed, wanting to know if he got to fight someone this time. Am I the only one thinking she is kinda sus? Mina asked. No, Hanta answered immediately. Midnight ignored the kids she could hear. We will have a small break so you can all catch your breath and get ready for round 2. We will call you back to this spot to announce it. I'm going to find my parents. Mina got excited as the kids were dismissed. Our parents all are in a box over there. Kyoka pointed in the opposite direction of her pink classmate. Oh, I can see her. Izuku didn't hesitate to go as well. Everyone followed, eager to see their families. Tensei Ida had a smile as he put on the helmet to his hero suit. His mission was definitely a serious matter, to put a stop to the hero killer, a villain who murdered 17 pro heroes and crippled 23 others. It was something he shouldn't smile about, and he wasn't. He was smiling because he had used his phone to look up the sports festival and had found out his little brother was going to the second event. He definitely wanted to see how his brother would do in the next events, but he had work to do now. He sent a text to his brother and got ready to go out into the streets of Hasu. Tensei, good luck little bro, I know you will do great. Ingenium Sir, one of his sidekicks, got his attention. We have word of activity on the hero killer. Tensei nodded and stood up. Let's go get this villain. Hey Overhaul Sir, a member of the Yakuza, got Kai's attention. What is it? The villain asked with annoyance. He was busy trying to work the medallion he was given to find out for himself how to make more for himself or how to amplify its powers. That kid, that Tukari, can you describe him? Kai gained a mad look. Why the hell did that matter now? That kid died in the alley and he was busy right now with this secret power. Why does it matter? You said he had green hair and lines of glowing energy on him, right? The assistant said. Yes, get to the point. The assistant held their phone to Kai's view. He is still alive. Kai was about to call his assistant a fool and use Overhaul to obliterate them, but stopped when he heard that damned voice. I expect a saint to win, but I expect you to make us fight for it. Everyone should always go beyond what they can and go plus ultra. Kai blinked. That was the kid. How in the hell did he survive Kai using Overhaul on him? It made no damn sense. Then Kai remembered one factor. She must have found him dead in the alley and used rewind on the kid to make it like Kai didn't twist the kid's organs into a mess that killed him instantly. That answered so many questions. He now knew where the saints were, and no more importantly, he knew where he was most likely to be. He was definitely going to watch this event for any info he has to make himself prepared for that kid and his saints. And his medallion would make sure it didn't matter what powers they had at all. Izuri hopped out of her seat next to Inko to run to Izuku as the saints all got to the stands where their families were. Hi Eri, Izuku grinned as he hugged his pseudo-daughter. Hi Mom. Izuku, your speech was great. Inko said happily and hugged her son hard, starting to well up with tears of happiness. You have grown so much, I am so proud of you. She has been like that ever since the speech. Mitsuki Bakugo, Katsuki's mother, who he shared most of his appearance with, laughed. She then turned to her own son. Who's the cutie? You haven't been farther than arm's distance away from. She looked at Yui, who was talking to her father a bit away. That's Yui, Katsuki answered. Masaru, I told you you would get a girlfriend. She elbowed her husband. What? Katsuki shouted in shock. She isn't. We're not. What do you think? Kakin has a crush. Mitsuki teased her son. It was a good thing no one was really listening and too busy talking to their own parents. I don't have a shut up old hag, Katsuki shouted with a tick mark on his forehead. Who are you calling an old hag, you little gremlin? Mitsuki gained her own matching tick mark and yelled at her son. You old hag, little gremlin, old hag, little gremlin, old hawk. Katsuki lost his words when Mitsuki whacked him over the head. Little gremlin, she then lowered her voice. Let's be civil, Katsuki. You hit me first, Katsuki mumbled. In another conversation, Shoto was talking to his father. You did great, Shoto. I saw no one. Shoto was actually bothered. His group did legitimately nothing and he got first place. Sometimes you get victories you don't feel or earn right. Endeavor, Enji Todoroki said. On the small ones it is something to get past. I don't want an easy oath to the top, Shoto argued. You shouldn't chase the difficult path. I know what you mean though. Enji definitely knew how it felt. He didn't know how he would react if he was just handed the #1 hero spot in Japan instead of earning it for everything he had did up until that point. Although he still wanted to fix his family before that ever happened. Thankfully for him, Shoto and his daughter Fayumi were taking his change to a better father well. Tenya off to the side saw a text from his brother and got happier than he already was. Ijiro's parents, who were seeing his scars for the first time unbandaged, were showing how much they were like their son and saying how badass or manly they were. Toru was introducing the redhead to her parents as well. They were invisible like their daughter. Nito was trying to, completely flustered, get out of a hug from his sister Hane while Kyoka and her parents laughed at the display of affection. Achako's parents had a bad schedule so they couldn't physically come to the festival, but they did call her to talk about it so far. Watching the whole thing from home, everyone all had the chance to talk to their parents in one way or another. All except a certain flaming pink-haired student. Okay kiddos, now that you are all back down here we get to the fun part, Midnight said a bit later. She waved to the screen that actually was going through words at that point. For our second event we get that the screen stopped on one word. And then a second word was cycled to match the first. Crystal Defense. Crystal Defense. Midnight, read it aloud. For this you all get to split into teams of 8, at your own choosing, and will be defending a crystal from being broken by the other teams. The 3 teams left with crystals get to move on to our famous third and final event, the tournament. How big is the crystal? Mina asked. Can we move it at any point? Itsuka from 1B asked. Hush kid, as Midnight didn't like being cut off. I was getting to that she pressed a button and the platform next to her opened, pushing up and revealing a large blue crystal that easily was the size of Mezu, one of the biggest students of the first years. Can we sell it for doubloons? Izuku asked. Izuku, no. Momo sighed. You kiddies can do with your crystal whatever you want. Move it, hide it in a given place of the field after we set up obstacles and the such. Heck, you can even use it as a weapon if you want. Izuku grinned like an idiot at that part, and half of the saints could be heard saying no. But it is best to keep your crystal out of sight and reach of the other teams if you want to give time to other parts of your team to break the other crystal. We can pick our teams, correct? Tetsu from 1B asked. Yes, it has to be a full team of 8 and we have enough of you for 6 full teams. Stay on that platform please while Cementos here makes your play area for this event. Cementos began to manipulate the cement into an arena with blank buildings and the kids got to picking teams. Izuku looked at his class. Well, with 8 of us per team that means that 4 of us will share a team with others that aren't saints. Who will those 4 be? Ijiro asked. I will be one, Izuku offered. He looked at his 3 lieutenants, Tenya, Ijiro and Shoto. Guys wanna join me? I am alright with that. Tenya nodded. Sounds like a fun time, Ijiro agreed. I agree also. Shoto nodded. You guys can divvy up the 2 teams while we find 4 people to join us. Izuku looked at the rest of the saints. I call dibs on ya, Momomina announced. We aren't picking dodge teams, Hanta said. Not with that attitude, Denki said. Let's just keep 2 branches together. Split the 3rd and the other 4 to make the teams. Katsuki said. Makes sense. We got out last, so let's split us up. Toru offered. Okay. Katsuki nodded. My idea, so I am saying Frenchie, Red Eyes, Pikachu and Invisi are with us from Engine's branch. I'm not Invisi, Toru huffed. I think it's endearing, Mina said. Like you a bad and also invisible. She's bad, Hanta asked. But she knocked a guy out earlier. Not bad like terrible, Mina sighed. Like bad, like she a baddie. How would we know she's a baddie if we can't see her, Minoru asked. My clothes still exist, Toru defended herself, being a baddie. You can clearly see I got stuff going on. I don't look at you guys like that and try not to, Minoru said flatly. Yeah, USJ made him lose the horny, Denki commented. He pulled too many S off of his head that the real ones stopped working. Hanta laughed. So does everyone agree with the teams? Katsuki said flatly to bring the topic back to teams. Yes, that's cool, Hanta nodded. Wanted to hang out with Ochako anyways. Wanna try our attack idea? The gravity girl asked her elbowed friend. Yeah, Hanta nodded. What is it? Mina asked. No, it is something to see, Hanta and Ochako said at the same time. Think Izuku will actually find a full team easily? Momo asked. Please, he is clearly overpowered and will break a crystal with a F probably. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a team already, Kyoka said. 8 gang, who should we ask first? Izuku asked. Midoriya, a familiar voice got HS attention and the 4 saints turned to see Kyusei, leading Hitoshi and Hisoki, approach them. Hey Kyusei, Izuku greeted the fire user. You guys need teammates? The guy asked excitedly, showing how he seemed to just always have enthusiasm. Yeah, Izuku nodded. Wanna team up? Well yeah, the saint nodded. Sweet, Kyusei grinned happily. We just need 1 more, Shoto stated. You seem enthusiastic, man, Ijiro said to Kyusei. I like it. Thank you. Your scars look cool. Manly, aren't they? Ijiro smiled. Mr. Glowy Guy, a female voice spoke up behind Izuku. I am he. Izuku turned around to see a girl with a lot of gear and steampunk goggles around her pink dreads. Her eyes were also yellow and looked lead like crosshairs. She was looking at Izuku like he was an object to use. Let me join your team to show off my babies. She straight up said her goal and how she was going to use him. Use him for attention from the audience. Show off your what now? Izuku got confused. My babies, the girl shouted as she grabbed some gadget from her belt. The tools I make are my babies. Ooh, Izuku nodded. I thought you were gonna flash someone. I do have flashbangs for that. The girl had one in her hand instantly. Well, I'm like your style, girl. Izuku grinned. I'm Mei Hatsum, she introduced herself. Izuku Midoriya. You can call me Mr. Glowy Guy though. It fits. We got a team now. Ijiro grinned. So what's game plan? Kyusei asked. I got an idea, Izuku began. Minutes later, the groups all had been made and were able to go into the arena, a small block of maybe 5 by 5 buildings varying between 2 and 3 floors in height, all of the floors being large open areas. Izuku's team had taken to a building in the northeast corner and set the crystal on their 2nd floor to begin, the highest floor of their building. Katsuki had made himself leader of his group with no arguments and had them set up in the direct center building in its top floor, the 3rd floor. The final group with saints acted more like a democracy and voted Nito the leader. He went with the building on the opposite side of Izuku from Katsuki and the center. They had 3 floors to their building and actually went to the roof for their starting spot. Everyone was itching to go and got happy when Midnight spoke again. Begin.